What's up, Nerf herders? Welcome back to the N.A.P. That was a smooth into, actually. Like we did intro,
I practiced this
smooth
time.
transition into what we were actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Josh, how are we doing today?
Oh, I am tired, good sir. I am super darn tired. I'm muting my phone right quick because I realized it was still on.
Good call.
I my wife got a new job over the summer, and to celebrate, she got a second Frenchie. And we finally got said Frenchie over the weekend, and it's 2 months old. It's tiny as heck, and it yaps a lot. we Our last Frenchie, we got her at 4 months, and she didn't bark for a year. And she really only barks when like me and her are like really playing, and then she'll like bark. But like when she goes in her kennel, she doesn't make a sound. She just goes to sleep. This one, we got 2 months earlier, and as soon as we put her in that kennel, boy, does she start yapping all night long. It's crazy. I'm tired. I feel like I had a new baby or something. I know it's not the same, but I'm really, really tired. Anyway, how are you?
I got to go through the joy of having multiple blue screens of death on my PC over the past few weeks. Now, it had happened a couple months ago, and I thought that I had squared it away. I thought I got it all taken care of to a point where I would at least be able to put the computer on crutches to get it to my next PC build, which was going to be coming at the beginning of next year. I'd use that tax money as a kind of like a little boost, but generally I recommend waiting until after or during the holidays to purchase PC parts, because obviously holiday pricing tends to be the best time to do it. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that. But it didn't make it. So it was I was in the middle of finishing the footage for the other two trailer reactions that I did for the DC fandom stuff that unfortunately is not going to be seen by anybody now because the PC failed. One of the drives went corrupted, and I was able to recover most of the data off of it. I could probably get a lot of it back if I sent it to somebody. But at this point, I had my backup for that drive, but I had just recorded those and I hadn't backed those up yet. So they're just gone. Gosh. And honestly, my nose itches like something fierce today. I don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, it was my reaction to the Snyder Cut and to Wonder Woman. But my reaction to the Snyder Cut, I think we talked about this during the DC fandom episode. I was kind of lackluster reaction, so it really wouldn't I don't think it would have garnered as much attention as I think I would have wanted it to. And the Wonder Woman trailer had gotten spoiled for me ahead of time, so I also didn't get too great of a reaction. So that's why I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna put them up.
Well, I watched your other ones. The Batman one at least got up there, and what else did you put? You put up a Suicide Squad one.
Yeah,
and
I got something else. No, just
I thought you put up 3.
No, I watched 2 different ones on 2 different Suicide content. And
that's right.
And then one of and then the one Batman trailer. Right. But yeah, so I got to I got to hop on old Amazon and PC part picker and all that stuff and put together a new rig. I was able to salvage everything off of the old. Well, I was able to salvage the processor, my fancy water cooler system, and all of my hard drives except for the one that failed that I didn't want to fail. And yeah, I got to buy the expensive peripherals again. So yeah, but it's up and running. It looks great. I'm waiting on my my cable management order because that's kind of the big thing. Like I bought a big case. All right, my desk stands like, I don't know, it's up to my waist in this tall chair. But yeah, the cables that come with a PC, like if you're building a PC, the stock cables are not gonna be the right length. They're just not.
Right.
So you're gonna want to hop on somewhere, find the cables that you know that you're gonna need, and get ones that'll reach the proper length. I don't have a website to plug for where to buy them from. I just Amazon, all these other
Sounds
places.
like this is like your next video, bud. You should just do a video on building your own PC.
Well, I already built it. That's what we're running on right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, when I get the cable management and all that stuff, yeah, maybe we go that route. But yeah,
Well, I'm
cable
glad you got
management
it
looks
up and
like
running.
dog shit right now.
Yeah, I
Like
bet
if you
it
look
does.
inside the case, it looks gross because those cables haven't arrived. But I wanted to make sure that I made the episode today. So
Nice.
so yeah,
it was.
This weekend was a nightmare. It was basically all day
Mm.
Sunday was building that, stripping the old operating system off, putting the new one on, and
I
then
imagine.
seeing my. I don't know what story you had pop up first, but actually every story that you had popped onto my radar this weekend.
Yeah, well, they were all kind of pinging at different times. So
yeah, it was just Bella Thorne freaking out because as a photographer, I've got some model friends. Some of them have OnlyFans accounts. They weren't happy. I also have humans on my Facebook page, and they weren't happy about Kyle Rittenhouse, and rightfully so. And then just everything, everything in the Nerd Dome was talking about Mulan, even though it wasn't. I don't know. I didn't think it was a big story, but it's also not an entirely small story, as you kind of pointed out before we started recording. So what do we got on the docket first, there, Mr. Howell?
Well, first of all, it seems like Red Lightning 480 really liked your Batman reaction, so that's cool.
Thank you, sir.
And he says he wants a PC, but they're expensive and complicated to handle. I know this to be true because Seth and I had this conversation earlier this year. So, but if you just heard him, maybe there's some good Black Friday sales out there. I mean, clearly people have PCs, and I doubt everyone with the PC has top of the line rigs. So I think maybe a video from Seth on how to build one, depending on your budget, might be a good video to make. So
as a photographer and videographer, I have to have a powerhouse machine to like work with 4K footage and all the Adobe suites and After Effects and all that crap. So
yeah,
so I get to write it off. But if you don't get to write it off as a business expense, then yes, it'll strike hard.
I bet.
And I don't get that benefit until the end of the year, but still.
Well, the first story was that Mulan story, and it's not a huge thing. I just thought it was really interesting how it came to be, because we've been talking about this for a while. Me and you really liked the trailer for Mulan. Yeah. From the beginning. I've been really excited. I love the cast. I love the look. I love that they're it looks like they're really taking it seriously. So something happened over the weekend in that at first it was actually on the page on Disney Plus, and now they've removed this from the page. But they announced that on September 4th, you can get this movie for $30. And we've talked about this. You can get it for $30. And then as long as you have the subscription, you can watch it as many times as you want. Well, over the weekend, another date dropped, and that was a December date, saying that coming in December, it'll be free for everybody on the platform. And since then, I think yesterday, this has been updated yesterday, saying that they've removed that December date, but it's kind of already out there. So I just thought it was weird. I mean, especially since this has been on everybody's radar, the debate's been back and forth on whether or not this is a good deal, on whether or not Disney will make any money off of this, between piracy and people just waiting until it's free. But for them to announce when the free date is, and it's yet this year, and they announce it before they even drop the paid version, I thought it was like the most dumbest move anybody could make. It just seemed super weird to me.
I don't know about the dumbest move, but I certainly can't get on board with it being a very smart one. I got to think of it from a business perspective, because obviously that's where it's coming from. Mm-hmm. Do they do this to combat possibly piracy, where they're like, all right, maybe people won't care as much well, first of all, you're not going to stop people from ripping the movie off. It's the people who pick it up from the rip off people. Right. But I wonder if that might have played a part. Maybe not as many people will download it illegally if they know it's going to be free here in December.
Well, I mean, it's not.
I don't think that's a significant. I don't
It's
think
only
that's
going
a
to be free
significant
if you're
enough
paying for
chunk.
Disney.
Well,
So
sure, but like,
yeah,
how easy is it to get around that for
sure.
the majority of people out there? Um, I don't know so much about that being a factor, but at the same time, I think they also might have wanted to placate the people who didn't want to spend the $30 but did want to keep paying for Disney, and then just like, okay, well, how much longer are we gonna have to wait if we don't pay that premium price? And then finding out that it's only a matter of months, that maybe they'll be like, okay, so it's like we were waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever you end up watching it on. I don't know. I don't really see the $30 fee that they go into. I think I talked about this when we first mentioned it, that I don't feel like it's going to be that first initial one, the $30, that's going to make their money back. If they look at that figure as a way of whether or not they're going to recoup their costs from the movie, I don't think they're going to make it, simply because, I mean, they had already announced that it was going to come out several months later. They didn't give a firm date on it, but like, that was still a reasonable assumption that we wouldn't have to wait terribly long to get the movie. But
Well, they didn't say months later. They said eventually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one could assume, but yeah.
But it was easy enough to connect the dots and be like, okay, well, they're going to want to get it out onto physical format as fast as possible, start getting those disc sales, getting the physical media sales as fast as humanly possible. They're also going to want to produce the merch that they can from it as fast as humanly possible and as widespread as humanly possible, because that's where that's how they're going to have to recoup their costs from the movie, is physical media, which I'm actually a big fan of. Like, in a digital age where things are increasingly becoming harder and harder to, especially after just losing a hard drive, like when content that you get is getting increasingly less physical, and the stuff, like when it's something like that, having physical media, like, especially as for a collector or something like that out there, they don't give a shit about the digital release because they can't throw that on their shelf. I mean, if they want to put like a flash disc or whatever they want to do, I mean, I suppose they could, but that's where I think they're going to get their money back. And so when I hear that date, I'm thinking, okay, well, if this movie rocks, then I won't have to wait quite as long for the Blu-ray, which I know that Disney Plus has been doing some behind the scenes stuff on a lot of their content, but I don't know how much of it'll actually be available, because as an aspiring filmmaker, I like watching the behind the scenes stuff. I like seeing the making of documentaries that they do and everything, just to kind of like see a little bit more of the industry there. I know that there's a significant crowd of people who like that too. So they really need to push that physical media as fast as possible. I don't think it was terribly smart for them to give it a firm. Did they give it a firm date in December, or did they just say December?
They said December.
Just says December. Okay. If they had given like a firm date, I would have agreed. That was pretty dumb. In this situation, I'm just going to say that it was less than properly advised.
Okay. I feel like you're afraid to piss off Big Disney or something like that.
No, I wouldn't have done it had I been in charge. I wouldn't have said December. I would have said in a matter of months or something like that, however long they have to put it out there. But because you don't want the free version of it to compete with the physical media. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had like the Blu-ray out before the free version went up on Disney Plus or something like that. Because
I would be surprised. I would be incredibly surprised. See, I'm coming at this from a different angle. One, I think that because right now Disney Plus has 54.5 million subscribers, and because they are not a Netflix or an Apple or anything that's putting out regular original media, I believe that a good chunk, a hefty chunk of that subscription base are families. And of all the back and forth conversations about this particular issue, about whether or not $30 was a good price for Mulan, every single person that I ever talked to that had a family said, hell yes, I'm going to pay $30 because we would never be able to see this in the theater. Oh, the only people that ever said no, or I don't know, or absolutely not, were single people that wouldn't pay $30 to see it in the theater because they're a single person. But I mean, I disagree. Would they make as much on the platform as they would in a normal year theatrical run? Probably not. But if even a quarter of that subscription base of families pay $30 for it, that's a good amount of money coming their way. And it's, you know, it's a new property, but it's based on a classic Disney movie. It's a new movie based on a classic Disney property, and I think a lot of families are excited for it. And so to say that, you know, first of all, this is the first time they're doing this. This is an experiment. A lot of people like Red Lightning over here is saying, I hope they do it with other movies like Black Widow. They've said so far that they're not going to, but this is the experiment. To shoot themselves in the foot and say, well, you've waited this long, why not wait 3 more months and you'll be able to see it for free on the platform? That just seems crazy to me, because I feel like a lot of people would have paid for that if they didn't know when it's going to come out. I think still some people are, but I think some people are going to be like, well, I've waited this long. I can wait till December. And onto your physical media point, I don't think the physical media was ever mentioned. And with their streaming platform, I seriously doubt they're going to put it out on physical media and not keep it as an exclusive, even if it's only for a month. Because I feel like that's another reason to have the Disney Plus is the exclusive thing instead of the one-time buy category.
Well, so here's the thing. You and I are looking at this whole why not wait for another 3 months from a perspective of guys who don't have kids. Don't have anybody in the house who are going to be chomping at the bit to see this movie. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? He just jumped like through the blinds to stand on the windowsill.
Mm-hmm.
The maniacal little fucker. Now I can imagine that in a household that has at least one child, there's going to be one child who is really excited to see this film and is begging to get it as soon as possible. And when you tell that kid that they have to wait 3 months, that ain't happening. And when you can spend the $30, which is still going to be cheaper than taking your wife and your kid or kids to the movie theater, and you've been cooped up in the house for who knows how long at this point, based on the individual, at least here in the States. Overseas, they're out and about. Who cares? But I feel like the whole $30 thing, or to just wait 3 months, they're going to lean more towards just pay the $30 and have the movie in your library. They get to watch it as many times as they want. It's in their library. It's just there. And then as far as having the physical media beforehand, are you stuck in there now? No, you're fine. Jeez. As far as having the physical media ahead of the digital launch from the free side, I think that it makes more sense for them to have that done, especially considering how easy it is for them to produce that level of content, considering how the movie has already been delayed. We're not talking about a movie to where as soon as they got it finished, they were pushing marketing, they're pushing everything they could to get it into theaters. No, they had it ready for theaters months ago. In that amount of time, they could have been producing all of this physical media. They could have been getting everything put together. They release it just a little bit before it goes free onto the Disney side, to where people are seeing it in stores. That impulse buy kicks in. You got people who see it. They're like, oh, hey, that's out. You got another crowd of people who didn't decide to sign up for Disney Plus. They were the same people who were just like, well, I'm just going to wait until it comes out on video, because that's a big crowd too. Do I see them recouping all of their costs off of it? No, not right away. But as far as it being like a catastrophically stupid move to announce that it's going to be free in December, I honestly, I don't see it hitting Disney that hard. And how many subscribers did you say that they had as of right now?
54.5 million.
Okay, well, I put in 55.4 million in my calculator here, so that's
how
wrong.
Dare you mix up your numbers?
I know.
Well, I mean,
$6.99. So per month, that's $380 million. 380 $1.95 million
Right.
that they're taking in monthly, which equates to almost 5 billion a year.
Right. Which is why I think they would lean more towards keeping this as an exclusive on the platform, because would you rather have someone buy this once at Walmart for $26 or get a subscription and pay $7 for 12 months in a year? I think the more they can, that we've said this, they're hurting for people to come and subscribe, or they're not, clearly 54.5. But I mean,
at
they are.
at almost 400 million a month, $400 million a month. I don't see that hurting them in any way, shape, or form.
Well, okay,
It's,
but when you compare it to Netflix, which has 190 million subscribers, so almost 4 times that amount, then yes, they are.
you don't
They
have to
are.
compare it. You don't have to compare it to Netflix, because Netflix was hosting their content on there, was paying them to host that content on there. Now Disney doesn't have to give anybody a cut for their content. They've got their own streaming platform up there. They're pulling in their own money.
Sure,
Like
but they want more people to subscribe, and I think they would want to get more subscribers than single in-house things. All I'm saying is, I mean, I think that there will be some families that still buy it for sure, but I think there's families that have multiple streaming accounts, and I think a chunk of those people that were on the fence of whether or not they would buy it are now not going to buy it, because now we have other movies releasing, and it's not like oh my gosh, this is the first new thing to come out. I think they'd be willing to wait now. It just seems silly to me, like, to say, hey, if you just wait a tiny bit longer, like it's in the same year, then you'll get it for free. And that's crazy to me.
but for some people aren't going to be that patient, and Disney's probably banking on that. And it's like,
Some people,
we've had you've been waiting for this movie for months now. The coronavirus made you wait even longer.
But sadly, I think me and you are among the group that are really excited, but it's a minority group. Unfortunately, I mean, this film has not been getting a lot of buzz. Many people that I've seen in different movie groups and whatnot couldn't give two shits about Mulan. They don't think it looks good, and it hasn't been. There's talk of that's why this is happening, because it just hasn't been garnering that much attention for them to hold off for theaters, and that's why they're going this route. So, I mean, I hope they make their money back, and I'm sure they will. But it just seems like a weird tactic to say, hey, if you wait just a little bit longer, you'll get it for free, and you don't have to pay $30.
I want to make one more retort before we move on to the next subject, though. It's your point about how we're the minority in the situation for being excited enough to pay the $30. I think we've always been that minority. I think theater goers have always been the minority as far as the film industry goes, as far as taking in that content.
Mm-hmm.
And like in these times, I think Disney's prepared in order to absorb the loss that they take from not being able to get as many people to pay that $30 that they would. I mean, how much of a cut do they get out of the theater? Out of the theater ticket that they sell. I was like, I mean, a $10 ticket, like even if they get like 70% of it or something like that. I mean, I know it's a high figure. That's probably not even close to what it actually is, but I don't know. And honestly, Disney is a company that is big enough here to where a movie like this being released in any capacity is almost passive income for them at this point.
Sure.
And it's like,
well, and I didn't mean that we were in the minority that we would pay for it. I feel like in all the groups that I've been in and all the people I've talked to, all my fellow movie fans, we're in the minority for wanting to see this movie specifically. I've heard a lot of people that just don't give a shit about Mulan, which is crazy to me. And granted, I think a lot of them are not families, and so I believe the family dynamic will be different. But I think it's a little telling that they're willing to do it with this film and not some of their other films. They're willing to wait.
We're the vocal minority, not necessarily the silent majority of people who are like, yeah, I'll pay the $30. I don't give a shit, but they ain't telling anybody about it.
Yeah,
like,
Well, we'll see.
Knows?
We'll see if they announce if they announce what they get, if they report because they're under. It's not like the studios that have movies in theaters. The Disney Plus doesn't have to report shit. So
No,
they
Netflix
can
doesn't.
report it if they feel like it's a win, if they or if they feel like it's a loss, they don't have to say anything. So I guess we'll see what happens on September 4th.
Netflix doesn't tell people shit about their earnings either, about their watch rate. Like they don't. I mean, I'm sure they tell producers
Unless
and
it's a
whatnot,
win.
but
Yeah, they say it if it's a win for sure, but it's kind
yeah.
of hard to gauge the win when you don't have the failures to compare it to. But
Sure. Oh, they got some.
yeah.
They've got
Well,
some.
I mean, you don't have the data for the failures. They only release the data for their wins. But well, moving on. Bella Thorne was in the news over the weekend. Well, she was in the news last week. She, among other celebrities, started an OnlyFans account, and she made $2 million like that through OnlyFans. And a lot of people were saying, "Hey, good on you, girl," and a lot of people were saying, "You're taking money from other people who that's a living, and they're not actresses, and they're not they don't have movies coming out here in the near future and stuff like that." So, which I'm
First of
I'm
all,
not
that's not true. That's not true.
What's not true?
She's not taking money from anybody else who's on that platform. She wasn't at first. When she first started it up, somebody who is subscribed to your OnlyFans wasn't going to be like, "Well, fuck, Bella's here. I don't need you anymore."
Well,
not going to be the case.
She certainly affected things now.
She has now, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not a huge Bella Thorne fan. I've liked some of her films. Like she was in that Mick G movie, The Babysitter, which has a sequel coming out next month, which I'm super stoked about. But the fact is, she's working. She is making money. She's got active movies in Hollywood. And she was coming under fire because she was joining OnlyFans. And granted, OnlyFans is not just for sex workers, but there are a lot of sex workers that are on OnlyFans.
They're carrying the heavy load over there.
They are. And right. Especially in this year when strip clubs and other, means of entertainment have been severely restricted. A lot of people have been going to OnlyFans to keep up their fan base, to gain their fan base, and to pay their bills. And so, sure, though fans of those people weren't necessarily leaving those accounts to go over to Bella Thorne. However, some of the things that Bella Thorne supposedly did has now affected the platform in a major way. So she was basically, while she had said on other platforms that she would never show nudity on her OnlyFans, which, that's not a given. Like we just said, it's not everybody on there are sex workers. There are screen caps out there that she kind of teased that she would if people paid for a $200 it's kind of like a pay-per-view type thing through OnlyFans. Yep. And so people did that and then found out that it wasn't a nudity thing and demanded a refund. And while OnlyFans is not saying that they're not acknowledging that it came from this Bella Thorne incident, after this all happened, they made some huge changes to their platform. They limited their pay-per-views down to $50. They limited how much you could tip to $100. And in some countries, they now, depending on your account status, you have to wait up to a month to get your money out, where you used to be able to do it at a weekly basis. And a lot of people are associating this with the kind of shady thing that Bella did. And so on that count, now that the, while she might not have been stealing fans initially, now, according to the people that are blaming her, she's severely impacted people's lives because, now they can only charge a certain amount and only be tipped a certain amount because of this issue. And it's just kind of, I kind of get it. I get why they would be mad that someone in Hollywood, who now has come out to said she wasn't even doing this because she was supporting or because she really wanted an OnlyFans account, but it was research for a movie she was doing. And that just makes it worse. She was doing a movie. she created an account because she's doing a movie about girls that are on only fans, and because of that research, it's backfired to the people that actually use that for
well, first of all, that sounds like the biggest cop out that I've ever heard. That I'm creating this paid service where you may or may not get to see some dirty shit of me. But it's for research purposes, not because I want more money.
Right. Right. Sure. Yeah, Brent, you're not
okay.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But
So,
on the back end now is what we're talking about.
So what I do find irritating about the whole thing is finding out what OnlyFans' response was to the backlash to her charging that. Like, I don't know if, like, I can't remember if you said, but she charged like $200 for a photo that ended up not being that
Right.
people claimed false advertising. That was essentially what they were saying. First of all, naked doesn't mean exposed.
Sure.
As a lewd art photographer from time to time, I have taken photos like that, where nudity is implied, but it is not exposed. I'm not saying that what she made was art, but let's not confuse. I want to make sure that there is a difference between the two. Sure. It sounds like she wasn't really caring too much to make that distinction, which is a problem, especially when you're on OnlyFans, where there is kind of a connotation to what you might be doing, especially when you compare it to some other stuff that she has done. I mean, even the photo that we're using in the thumbnail for our broadcast here, I mean, that is intended to be like suggestive.
Sure. Well, and all of her promo videos for this site, all of her stuff on Instagram that are bringing people over to her OnlyFans, they were all very suggestive. It was driven to the, like you said, the connotation of what many people use OnlyFans for or go to OnlyFans for sure.
First of all, even if it was a photo I took, that I took, and I put up on an OnlyFans account that I was going to charge $200 to see even an uncensored, fully exposed nude art piece that I took, I deserve a kick in the pants to see that on digital. Fucking shit. Really? No, you do not need to be spending $200 to see fucking anybody naked. You really don't. If I was charging $200, it better be a fucking physical poster size print made out of metal or something like that, because that's a thing now. Actually, I print on metal a lot for especially my landscape photos. She's taking advantage of the people who are simping on her. That's really what it is. And just about any female celebrity has a crowd like who would be susceptible to something like this. The problem is that she treated OnlyFans like just another social media account, which to a certain degree it is. It's another social media platform for people to for celebrities to generate income, which is what they do. The most successful people on OnlyFans are also probably easy to be considered celebrities at this point. They're in a different genre, but there's already free stuff. Exactly. It's like, if you really want to get off, you do not need to pay $200 to see a not even fully naked photo of Bella Thorne. The point here is that instead of OnlyFans, like the thing that pisses me off a little bit is that OnlyFans reacted not just to her, but they put out a new policy across everything, limiting the amount that people can tip, which, again, I mean, if somebody's going to tip you $100, even if that's the highest that they can go, I'd still be fucking grateful at that point. I also don't see anything about them not being able to tip you multiple times $100 if they really wanted to go above that. Who knows? Like, I mean, like, and then a $50 max post price, which again, $50 to unlock a social media post is like, what are you showing me? What are we getting out of that? I can understand to where there are some sex workers who are really pissed off about this, because there are definitely people who are going to put that kind of money in there to see their naughty bits. I can absolutely see it. I understand the backlash of them being like, she's a celebrity. She, like, in the first day, she made more money than any of the, I don't want to say lower level because that sounds derogatory, but it's not, any of the lower level OnlyFans content producers. We'll say that, OnlyFans users will ever get to see. It's like, who knows how much money they'll ever actually get to make on that, and how much of that is OnlyFans going to be taking a cut of. I understand the backlash. I'm getting a little bit tired of only ever hearing about Bella Thorne because she's caused some backlash of some. I have no idea what she's actually done. I haven't seen her in any movies. I haven't seen her in any TV shows. I saw a commenter say that he hasn't seen her since her Disney Channel stuff. I haven't watched the Disney Channel in 10 plus years, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe even 15 at this point. Like
I can say
it's been a long fucking time.
I've never watched a movie that she's been the star. The only movie I've liked that she was in, she was not the star. She was like a side character, and that's like, I liked the movie. I didn't like it because it was a Bella Thorne, project or anything like that. But yeah, she's definitely, like, everything about her is just based on how to be edgy and how to be controversial. But that's what she's doing.
That's
here.
A market now. There's a market for that now.
Right. And she and it's not a lie. She has a director and everything associated with this project. But what people are saying now is that in her quote unquote attempt to research and live the role, she has basically set, kind of made it look like that the actual people on here are scammers, because every part of her advertising was very suggestive. She was making everything to mimic the sexual content creators on this platform. Then she released, a $200 pay-per-view, which is a very common figure for actual sex workers who give, it's not always just pictures. Sometimes it's videos, sometimes it's personal videos, but this is how these people make their money. And she, mimicked what they do and then didn't deliver. And some people, granted, they were probably dumb in thinking that that a Hollywood actress is going to actually give you nudes, but it made it look like the people that she is supposed to be going to be representing in this film are scammers, like she scammed her fans. And I mean, say what you will about, you shouldn't be spending X amount of money on this kind of porn, but there are people that go to strip clubs. There are people that do call girls and stuff like that. And there are, people in different ways of life that this is how they make money. And honestly, I know it's a way bigger conversation, but, this is one of those crimes to me that it just seems like it's silly that it's a crime. Like, as long as, it's not hurting anybody, as long as no one's being forced to pay money or whatever, I don't see why it's a crime, because there's so many ways to get around it. If you can call yourself a prostitute, or you can call yourself a sugar baby or something like that. There's so many ways to get around it and stuff like that. It just seems weird that sex work is still seen as a crime when there's so many ways that it's not a crime these days. But the fact is, there were people on here that were using this service and that were bringing money to OnlyFans. And because of Bella Thorne, supposedly, OnlyFans made this policy change to hurt the people that have been on their platform for much longer than her. And that just kind of sucks. So I'll be interested to see if they walk this back or not. But I can only imagine it's going to hurt them as much as it hurts their people, because they're getting less of a cut.
Well, like, I want to go back to her point where she was doing it for research for her movie. Is her movie about what happens when a famous person starts doing sex work?
Nope. It's about it's about a regular sex worker on OnlyFans, which she is not.
She is not even close. She could not even come close to claiming the status of a regular sex worker. So I don't see
Right.
how that research is going to be accurate at all.
Right. And where's that $2 million that she made? Is that going towards research? Is that going back to the people that are on OnlyFans, or did you just pocket that, while you took advantage of the situation?
Well, if she really wanted to be, if she really wanted to do research, maybe she just needed to ask like the however many hundreds or thousands of sex workers on OnlyFans who she pissed off.
Right.
Because they'd probably be able to. They'd probably be able to give her some information. Yeah, I don't see anything good coming out of this at this point. I mean, so she's certainly not legitimizing sex work.
No.
Which personally I feel like sex work is work. They should be allowed to do it. They should be allowed to do it under whatever capacity, because I mean, that's capitalism. If people want it, they'll pay for it. They can do what they want with their money. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
Which is also why, like, if people want to give their money to Bella Thorne, that's fully within their power. I don't care. Do what you want with your money. Maybe think about it a little bit beforehand, but do what you want with your money. I can't in good conscience say spend $200 on a single photo on digital, especially. But so she's not legitimizing sex work. She's not putting a light on it saying, hey, this is legitimate. People should not be shamed away from doing this kind of work. Because that's not the response that she's going to get. I don't feel like she's going to get any valuable research for her movie. She's going to get funding. She's absolutely gotten funding for her movie. But certainly not research. Doesn't sound like the subject matter of the film is going to match with what the reality of her situation is going to be on the site. And at the same time, I feel like she's not really, what's a nice way to put this? I don't have a nice way to put this. She's not in a position to where she's not in a position where she needs the money. And so I do understand where, and you said this before, it was like, she doesn't need the money. She's actively working. She's got movie contracts. She's a celebrity. It was like, if she needs money, she's got outlets out there. She doesn't need to do this. But at the same time, I mean, she's there. And if people are going to pay for it, I mean, let them pay for it.
I'm not against this, because we've talked about this, and this is kind of what Brent was just talking about as well. We've talked about this for other accounts, like Will Smith having a YouTube, channel, or celebrities. We're not against that. And of course, there's always going to be people that are like, hey, I'm on here, I'm working hard, and you're over here, you're a celebrity, so you're going to get 1 million views and subscribers super easy. And they can be a little butthurt by that. But the difference is, it would be like if Will Smith came on and made a YouTube channel, and then he did something that was really shady, and it made YouTube change their policies so that the little guys that were not Hollywood actors all of a sudden got a major pay cut. I mean, I was reading an article about how bad this could affect some people, and depending on how high up they were on the sex worker chain, this is like an 85% cut in some of their daily work. It's a huge, I mean, when you're talking about limiting how much they can charge on their pay-per-views from you could do up to 200. Now you can only do to $50. And then limiting how much you can tip. And yeah, you're right. So some people could tip multiple, but some people only want to tip once. And they're not going to tip multiple.
If they're getting a return for it, though, like if they're getting something out of that tip, like if it's a,
but you're still
I don't want to say quid pro quo, but
right.
Like, if you're setting a price on a product and people have the money and they want to buy that product, they're gonna spend that money either way. Now, right, but again,
you could have set it for 200. Now you can only set it for 50, which is that's 25% of what you could sell it from before. So basically, she stepped into an environment that she never planned to stay in as an experiment, and then she left it lots worse for the people that actually work in that environment.
Yeah, that's my point. Is like the people who were on the platform already, who were not at the incredible celebrity status that she was at, and aren't able to garner $1 million in a day. That's, I mean, their experience on the platform is now hindered because of this. I don't think that should happen. I don't think there should be a limit to what people can. I don't think there should be a limit to what people can try. I think she should be absolutely allowed to charge $200 for a post. Because if people are going to buy it, they can buy it. I think she should be upfront about what's actually in it. She should be very clear and very distinct as to what they're going to get. But she should be allowed to do that. And again, if you are not Bella Thorne and you are on OnlyFans, I don't see your subscriber base being hit because of this. I really don't.
But
like
now
if somebody was, your wallet is absolutely. But I mean, they didn't limit the amount of people that can be subscribed to anybody. I don't have enough information or knowledge about how OnlyFans works in order to, I could be completely wrong about some of this stuff, but I'm going to assume that there aren't a lot of creators out there who were charging these top-notch prices. Maybe that's why they knocked a cap on it, because there weren't a lot already.
I think there were, and that's why it's causing such a stink, because there
were over $200 for a post though. Like, shit.
Dude, have you been to a strip club?
I mean, $200 isn't
you're there. Well, again, these people, some of these transitioned from live, so they already had these fan bases. Some of them didn't, but yes, dude. I mean, I get it, and Brent said it. There's so much free stuff out there. But there's a reason why campsites exist. There's a reason why things like OnlyFans exist, because even, people will pay money. And even if it's just the person writing something on a sign or doing something to personalize it, people will pay it. They'll pay it. And now, no matter what they were willing to pay before, they can only pay up to $50. It wasn't a $200 limit. That wasn't it could have been higher than $200, and people were paying that. But the fact that now you could only pay $50, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's hurting the people that were on there. And Bella Thorne, what harm came to her? Nothing. She got $2 million. She's got a movie coming out next month.
Yeah, she can brush off the hate in a heartbeat. She can give a fuck.
Exactly. There's no consequences for her, but there are consequences for the people that worked there, that work on OnlyFans, that she just kind of, used and abused the system and then left it worse for them. So yes, I agree with you. I think it's horrible how OnlyFans dealt with this. And yes, they've said, it's not because of Bella Thorne, but the timing and everything sounds like it is. And again, if people are willing to pay for it, why stop them from paying for it? No one's forcing them to pay for it. But the fact that you're now limiting what they can pay hurts the people that were making those things.
Yeah, I just I'm going to reach out to some of my people. I'll see if I can do one of my solo casts with somebody on the do an episode of the Seth cast with somebody who's actually on the platform.
Yeah, do it.
This reason why I charge what I charge for my services is that the market will allow.
That's what the market
eventually
will allow.
Yeah, eventually you raise your prices too high and the market pushes back. Absolutely, yeah. But at this point, it doesn't sound like Bella had the market push back on her until after they had already paid for it.
It sounded like she was mimicking what other people were doing successfully, but because of such the negative backlash and all, nobody.
I thought it was because the photo that she sold wasn't what she said it was, wasn't it?
There was a
weren't they like saying that it was like false advertising?
Exactly, and they reached out to OnlyFans saying that she's abusing the system. So suddenly they had a lot of eyes on them and they had to address the situation. And then this monetary change cap came. And so that's why people are associating it with her. They're saying it has nothing to do with her, but everybody else is saying, well, you did it right after this scandal. So are you sure? nobody cared about those high prices before because people were willing to pay it. You didn't care about it because you were making your cut as OnlyFans. But now all of a sudden that you get negative press because Bella Thorne's over here being shady, now you make these caps and it's hurting the people that aren't Hollywood celebrities. But we've drugged this into the ground. I really didn't think we'd talk about this long.
Well, it's interesting because like this is another platform that like I've been hearing more and more about OnlyFans since it got going. Mainly because again, like I'm a photographer, I've run into some models who have OnlyFans. They've asked me if they can use my photos that I took. I'm like, yeah, you paid for your session, you can do whatever the hell you want with them. But
sure.
But
that's nice that they asked you.
Yeah, I guess I've got some models who maybe haven't asked. I guess I'll have to ask around about that. But yeah, it's interesting that this, because this is a market that we're going to be dealing with now. Like this is going to be a common thing. Like especially now that it's been, I would say that if anything, the potential impact here is that OnlyFans has either, like, as far as the people who are posting content on the platform, they have probably been impacted, but the platform maybe not so much, because now you might be seeing an influx of content producers moving over to OnlyFans after seeing the earning potential that's actually there.
Yeah, but then the negative scandal that happened right afterwards. I mean, I imagine,
sure, but like, how hard is it for them to shake that shit off of there? Like,
maybe, but think about it. If now all of these content creators that have been on there for months are saying, "What the hell? You just cut my paycheck by 75%." I mean, I imagine OnlyFans, if a person sold something for $200, OnlyFans cut is going to be greater than what they got for $50.
Well, this is probably we're going to see competition.
Maybe, perhaps.
Probably this is what Brent says. Popping up.
I believe a user on OnlyFans should be able to charge whatever. If the price goes up, it means the price point got met, and that makes sense. If people bought it, then you raise the price. He thinks this could kill the service, and I believe if they don't walk this back, a 75% cut on an item is crazy. I mean, it's just bizarre. Like, that is a big thing. I don't sell it for 200. Now you can only sell it for 50.
Yeah, I don't think that they should have limited it at all. Like I said before, if you've got a product that people are willing to pay for, they should be allowed to pay for it. Like if you've got a body that people want to pay $200 to see a digital photo of naked, you should be able to charge that price. Because if people are going to buy, like, because what's the worst that happens? People don't buy it.
Right.
Like that's the worst. And then but that's not what happened.
Bring your price down. Right. Right.
That's not what happened here, but that's not because of Bella Thorne. That's because of OnlyFans. I feel like Bella Thorne is actually getting more of the blowback than OnlyFans is getting, because it sounds
OnlyFans.
It sounds like the platform reacted.
I mean, yeah, they're calling Bella Thorne out because of the shadiness, but yes, OnlyFans is the one that made the cap, and they should be the one that should be, blamed. And I think a lot of people are pissed at OnlyFans too, but it's easier to throw shade at some celebrity than, the person that writes your paychecks, so I can understand that as well. But speaking about pieces of shit,
I think that was a great segue.
Yeah. I want to talk about Chadwick Boseman a lot here, and I don't want to cut that short just because we're running low on time. So let's keep this short. But I felt we needed to address this.
Yes, but before you do, I want to say to any Nerf herders who are new, we generally do not get political on the show.
We generally don't. No.
And so this isn't coming, like, us putting this story up is not coming from a partisan point of view or anything like that. But we do cover a wide array of topics, and this has been very prominent in the news lately. So I think it's I think it's kind of an important it's an important thing to talk about.
Sure.
But I want to make the distinction that we do not get political here on Nerf Herders Assemble for the most part. So this is not like a common thread.
we do address things that aren't always absolutely movie based, and this is one of them. This is a big thing that rocked the nation. I mean, you had Kenosha, very much similar to Minneapolis over the past week. They had another guy get gunned down. And granted, I believe he's still alive. I believe he's paralyzed in the hospital.
Can only hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not looking good right now. And his name was Jacob Blake, and that is a story that's still going. But Kenosha has been literally and figuratively on fire because of it. And it's been a tense situation there. It's been a lot of people that are mad, that are hurt. Some people are taking advantage of the situation and looting. Other people are out there protesting. There's curfews. People aren't obeying the curfews, stuff like that. So it's very similar.
It's basically this is a deja vu situation.
Gosh,
from George
it's
Floyd's
been the whole summer, man. It's been everything. And it's just going to keep happening, honestly. But this kid, 17-year-old kid, Kyle, from out of state,
fucking Kyle,
gets in a car. Now, there's been some people that have said that his mother drove him, and I haven't confirmed that or not. He gets in a car, drives across state lines with a rifle, and I don't know if that's an AR-15 or not. I don't know if that was ever confirmed, but
that is just from looking at it. I can't tell you if it's an AR-15. It looks very similar, but it's easily a semi-automatic rifle. It's probably in 223 or 5.56.
Yeah. Well, either way, it was illegal for him to have it because he's 17 and you have to be 18 to have a rifle in Wisconsin. And to those people,
you have to be 18 just about everywhere, actually. But
yeah, you have to be 18 everywhere. And
at least to own one.
Yes, Wisconsin has a law that if you have a license in another state, you can bring your gun into Wisconsin. He does not. So either way, he didn't have a license for this gun. He's coming from Illinois.
He came from Illinois.
So had he been of legal age and a license with this gun, he would have rightfully had that gun. But he was not. He's 17. So therefore it's illegal for him to have this gun in Wisconsin. So he's already committing a crime there. But he decides that he is going to take his gun and drive to Kenosha to be a part of the action. And he's walking around with his latex glove and his med kit and his gun, and there's footage of him defending a gas station in the earlier parts of the night, which in itself is illegal. It is illegal in Wisconsin to defend public property or private property with lethal force. That in itself was a crime. And then also it was a curfew and he was out past curfew. Didn't matter if he was a protester or not. It's a curfew for anyone that's not a cop.
I can't get around that. He come from out of state.
Yeah.
So he didn't even did he have family there?
Nope.
Nope.
He came from out of state. Now, I don't believe it was a long drive, but still, he was a police cadet, like a junior cadet type thing. He was an aspiring cop, and basically his motivations were to protect public and private property in Kenosha from the unruly protesters. And he was part of a militia group which on Facebook said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to Kenosha and we're going to defend businesses from these looters and protesters with guns. And here's the thing. There's even footage earlier in the night of cops driving by and giving him and other members of his militia water bottles and saying, thanks for being here. We appreciate what you're doing. It's a curfew. If it's illegal for the protesters to be out after a curfew, why is it not illegal for a militia to be out after curfew? They were committing crimes, and they drove from out of state to be a part of it. I mean, there's so many people saying, well, he was in a tense situation, but he put himself in that situation. He drove across state lines to be a part of this. And that just, I have a hard time feeling sympathy for this person.
So one thing that I do in my solo casts, I don't do a lot of them, but I go over the facts very objectively. So according to the articles that I found, he's from Antioch. I think that's how you say it, Antioch. Illinois. He's from Antioch, Illinois, and he drove to Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is about 31 minutes or
Yeah, so
20
it's like Omaha to
miles.
Lincoln. Yeah,
So
it's a short drive.
So he didn't make a huge drive to come over there. I don't think that him driving across state lines should matter because he's not legal to carry in either one of them.
Yeah, correct.
And so people obsessing over that. To me, that's just another fact for them to add in there to make it sound worse than it is. It's like if he had traveled like over an hour to get there, it would have been. I can definitely see people jumping on that, but still, he wasn't like he's not authorized to carry a weapon openly in public. He's not authorized to own a weapon. It also looks
he doesn't have family there. He has no connection to Kenosha or the businesses he was protecting. He had no need to be there.
I can totally believe that his mother drove him across those state lines because it looks like he's got a previous I don't know what you want to call it, ticket or ticket of charge for driving without a license. And so he probably couldn't get a license to drive. So that's going to make it a little difficult. I don't understand why his mother that's not a great parenting move to take your kid with a rifle to a protest area after curfew so he could defend against.
Well, there's pictures of her being a part of the same militia group as well. So like mother, like son, I guess. I don't know.
Still doesn't make it great parenting.
No, absolutely not.
I can't say that a parent who is going to push for his or her child to break the law is a good move, especially the main argument that I've been seeing about this story when it gets brought up, and unfortunately I've got the same news feed that just about everybody can say that they have, where there's just a huge amount of arguing. Like the thing that I don't like about our current political climate is that people just take sides with their party and with their party leaders, and instead of looking at it from a human perspective. And I can't get behind that.
Murder shouldn't be politicized, or violence shouldn't be politicized. You should just be able to look at it objectively, not, oh, hey, what's my party saying about this? Yeah.
I'm going to say up front, I'm a gun owner. I'm a concealed carry holder. I went through all the legal processes in order to do it. I'm a member of a local gun range where I do firearms training. I also do medical training there as far as like trauma response and stuff like that, in an attempt to be prepared for a situation. When we had protests here in Omaha, I didn't go. When I did go, I didn't take my gun with me. I went to one of the protests to take photos, and I didn't take my gun with me. I was like, that doesn't seem like a smart idea to me. The events that happened afterwards and have been continuously happening since, if I, for some reason, I can't think of a reasonable reason for why I would have to, but if for some reason I had to go to one of those protest areas, I probably would have my gun on me now. Not because I'm afraid of the protesters, but because I'm afraid of situations like this.
Yeah.
Where there is somebody out there who is absolutely being a vigilante. It's like there's not another word for this. Somebody's being a vigilante with a fucking rifle.
But see, I hate that. I hate that word. I don't agree with that word being associated with this.
So vigilante, I'm talking about an unlawful vigilante. We come from the comic book world, where when we hear vigilante, it's normally being thrown at who we consider the good guy.
Well, vigilante is usually used as someone who's taking the law into their own hands to punish somebody else that's committing a crime. However, I don't believe protesters are committing a crime worthy of violent punishment.
No, but that's what he's being called, and it does fall under the definition of alleged vigilante. Like I said, I have to be objective here. Like he is being looked at under the terms of a vigilante, which is considered illegal. It's not. It's like you said, it's not from a lawful perspective.
Yeah.
What really irritates me about this whole situation is that the incident with Jacob Blake that incited this was generally surrounded with the response from a certain side of the political spectrum that if he had just complied with police and not broken the law, everything would have been fine. It's like this person, Kyle Rittenhouse, killed 2 people in an unlawful manner, using an unlawful tool at his disposal. And he like, yes, he did comply with police, but like he was like, but
Well,
he
also fled the state, but yeah.
Now the argument is like he was breaking the law. Those same people are now saying, "What a hero!" Like, and
they're
there's
calling
now
him a hero. They're calling him a patriot. They're saying even the president is saying that it was self-defense. He would have probably been killed. It's under investigation, but he said, you saw the same tape that I saw. He was trying to get away from people. He fell and they were violently attacking him. So here's the thing. If you haven't seen this, go see it. Don't take our word for it, but there's multiple videos on this. The guy was defending, someplace, a gas station, a business, whatever. And he apparently shot somebody in front of that business. So then there's another video of him running from that scene on the phone saying, I just killed somebody or I just shot somebody. So then he's running
with 911 or
right. And he's not on the phone with 911. He was on the phone with a family member or somebody. So he's running down the street towards the cops and people are running after him because he just killed somebody. And they're screaming, he just shot somebody. He just killed somebody. He's running away from them with a gun. He falls down and people surround him. And he shoots 2 more of them, kills one of them, injures the other one, and then gets up and continues going towards the cops. Now everybody's staying clear from him because he's clearly trigger happy, and they're yelling at the cops. He just shot somebody. He just killed somebody. And the cops let him walk on through. They got the whole thing on camera. They just tell him to get out of the street and keep walking. Meanwhile, everybody else on the block is saying he just killed somebody. And so there's a lot of people online saying, well, he was self-defending himself. But he put himself in that situation. He brought an illegal weapon to a place where there had been no violence. It wasn't like people were getting slaughtered on the streets of Kenosha in the previous nights. There were no deaths. This is the only death from the protests, and it's him bringing an illegal weapon into the scene, and it's because he wanted to use it. He wanted to start shit. And there's been other people saying, well, one of the people that were running after him had a gun. Yeah, they had a legal gun and a legal right to have that gun, but they weren't shooting people. They didn't shoot him. He killed 2 people and injured 1 people with an illegal weapon for nothing. He had no reason to be there. And if he had not broken the law in several accounts and driven 30 minutes to go somewhere he had no business to be, he wouldn't have been in a position to use that weapon. And he's now been charged. He's been charged with several accounts. He's been charged with first-degree intentional homicide, 1 count of reckless homicide, a count of attempted intentional homicide, 2 counts of reckless endangering safety, and as well as possession of a dangerous weapon while under the age of 18. So he's committed several crimes, and yet people are still like, he's a patriot. He stood up when people weren't standing up, and he was only defending himself. And it just sickens me, man. It sickens me so much.
So one thing that I'll say before we decide to move on with our final story tonight, because we're starting to cross over into that territory we don't want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you stand on gun control laws or anything like that, the thing that I always say, and again, this is coming from an avid gun owner and firearm sportsman. If you don't want gun control laws to get more stringent or cross it, or if you really want the Second Amendment to be left alone, you really need to enforce the gun laws that are already in place.
Yes,
you really need to do it.
Stop bending them to work for you.
Because that is going to make people think that the gun control laws that are currently in place don't work. You really need to enforce the ones that are already there. We had a situation like almost exactly like this unfold right here in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bar owner who was not downtown at the time. Like he was not in the area where the property that was his, even though he was leasing it, was located.
Mm-hmm.
He went downtown during a curfew and had also been told by law enforcement not to go down there.
Mm-hmm.
He took a concealed weapon with him. It was concealed at the time with a concealed carry permit that had lapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the 12:01 on the day where that permit is expired. Doesn't matter how long you had it before. It's expired. You're unlawfully carrying a weapon at that point.
Correct.
And everybody should be vying for that. Everybody, both sides, it should be like, absolutely no. He broke the rules. I don't want the rules to get shittier on me. So when the rules get broken, they need to get slapped on super fucking hard.
Exactly.
He was immediately at that point, he was carrying a weapon illegally. Then he was open carrying illegally in an area where he wasn't supposed to be, and he ended up killing somebody. And
illegally fired a warning shot.
2 warning shots.
His dad illegally, started the violence by pushing somebody. I mean, again,
like we're seeing escalation.
All the crimes the crimes that walked up to it, and I agree with you. I know several gun owners, and they're not all the same, but I feel like there's anymore. There just seems to be camps. There's the camps of you're a gun owner and you appreciate the laws and you respect the laws and you respect the women and the responsibility of having the weapon. And then there's other gun owners that are, they're hardcore Second Amendment, and they're ready to stand up if the government if the government tries to come take their guns, they're ready to stand up. But then when they see other people stand up against their injustices, they just want to bring out their guns and start pointing them at people that they have no right to do.
We'll have to do like a whole separate podcast on like one of our other media platforms about like non-nerf herder stuff. Because I feel like
one more thing about this, and then we'll let it go. But there is, Facebook has disowned him. All social media sites has disowned him. GoFundMe has stopped any and all GoFundMe sites that have raised money for Kyle Rittenhouse. The only site that is currently allowing people to raise money to support him is a Christian crowdfunding site called Give, Send, Go. And they've put out multiple tweets about how they're the only website that will allow you to raise money for this guy. And currently they've raised about $280,000 for his legal defense. And people are heralding this as, oh, good on you. They kind of forget that this site takes a cut. And currently I just ran the numbers. It's over $10,000 that this site is making. So it's not like they're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, but they're raising money for this kid who clearly, murdered 2 people, and they're calling him a hero and they're calling him a patriot. And they're saying, here, come raise money for this person. And it's despicable. It's so despicable to me. And they also, it doesn't matter. There's countless things out on the internet that shows this kid to be a lowlife. There's video from him a week ago punching a girl in the back of the head in a parking lot. So he's a despicable human being. And he ended up killing somebody, 2 people, and going somewhere where he didn't need to be. So, I put it in the thumbnail. Shame on you if you're raising money for this person and trying to defend his actions, because it's despicable. Yeah. And I hate that he's getting so much attention, but he is. But that wasn't the worst news of the weekend.
No, somebody who absolutely is not despicable, but cancer absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
Wakanda forever, man. We lost Chadwick Boseman this week at the age of 43.
43.
So Chadwick had been battling colon cancer for I can't remember how long.
4 years.
4 years. Okay, that's a long time to go through any disease, but especially cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you don't have to look too far to find somebody who's been affected by cancer or who's had a family member. Like I have multiple family members who have died of cancer. And it is brutal. It is nasty. It is ugly. It's not a it's not a it's not a gentle way to die in any sense of the word. And it's not a good way to go out. And unfortunately, it struck the nerf herder assemble audience and crowd. Like it hurt comic book fans, it hurt Marvel fans, it hurt film fans, it hurt everybody who's ever been impacted by Chadwick Boseman. And
it's crazy because it's I mean, not to say we had any right to know. It's crazy that he kept it
Yeah.
excessively quiet for 4 years in a day and age where nothing stays hidden. The fact that he and it's sad too that he dealt with this so privately. And he was known to be a private person, and perhaps this is why he was so private, because he's really only been in the limelight since 2013. I mean, he did movies before then, but his biggest break was 42 in 2013, and then he's just been doing movies nonstop since then. But to know that he has been hiding this, and well, not hiding this, he's been dealing with this for 4 years, and he's continued to make movies in those 4 years, and he's, it just makes you look at everything differently. Every time somebody was like, man, he looks like he's tired of this, or he looks like he's, not really on board with some of these things. Well, he was probably in the middle of dealing with this. He probably was physically and emotionally tired.
He absolutely was.
And the fact that he died yesterday, which was, he played Jackie Robinson in 42. That was Jackie Robinson's birthday. It was also Jack Kirby's birthday, who's the co-creator of Black Panther. The fact that he died on that day as well is just crazy as well. But I mean, he's 43. He was young. He was in the prime of his movie career. He was doing, I mean, before you even talk about his MCU stuff, he was doing great. He was bringing great historical black figures to screen in 42, in Marshall. He was, it was in Get On Up, it was a big part of his career to highlight these, not fictional, these historical characters. And then when he did do fictional characters, he did movies like The Five Bloods, and Message from the King, and 21 Bridges, and of course, Black Panther and stuff like that. But I mean, he gave his all on screen, and to know that he was doing all of that while dealing with one of the worst cancers out there, and one of the most fatal cancers for Black men, is just crazy to know.
It's an interesting fact here, but looks like Denzel Washington paid for his college tuition.
He paid for his not for his college tuition. He was in college, but he got a I mean, unless he retroactively did that as well, but he paid for him to go to London as part of this theater group. He was chosen out of a college group to go to London for this theater like internship type thing. And the professor reached out to Denzel Washington to pay for that. And so, yeah, even before he made it big, he had a connection with Denzel Washington, which is crazy.
Yeah, it obviously the reason that he came into prominence for me, maybe for you too. I don't know if you'd seen any of his work before Black Panther, but yeah, Black Panther was my first introduction to Chadwick Boseman, and he knocked it out of the park. Which is, I mean, when you're talking about the comic book world, we've all seen how militant people can be about a casting choice when it comes to a comic book character, especially one that hadn't been shown in film yet. This was a new foray into the the motion picture world for Black Panther. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he Chadwick Boseman killed it. Like he did an excellent job. I mean,
Well,
he
him and Coogler, and Ryan Coogler is the director, and
yeah.
what's his name that plays Creed, also in the. I mean, just everybody in that film. It was a
Michael B.
success.
Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, yes, it was a success from a money standpoint. It was a success from a MCU standpoint, but it was also a success from a
Cultural.
predominantly a black cast and crew standpoint. I mean, it's the 13th highest film ever as far as box office, and at the time, it was the biggest MCU film. And it brought the masses out because the masses appreciated it. It was a film. They said it then, and they still say it now. It was a film for the demographic that normally doesn't get represented that well in a movie. I mean, how many black films can you think of right now that A, aren't Tyler Perry films, and B, aren't slave films? There's not a lot. And then of those slave films, how many of those slave films have a predominantly white, character in there? I mean, like 12 Years a Slave is a great, great movie. But have you ever seen the Italian posters for it? Brad Pitt has his face on like half the poster because he's a big, white savior in that film. And I mean, I'm not trying to do a commentary on that, but
He's
Black
also
Panther
Brad
was
Pitt, but
yeah, sure. But Black Panther was a huge film from a cultural standpoint. But he was a huge actor from a cultural standpoint. He wanted to bring powerful characters, whether they were fictional or historical, to screen. And he put a lot of love into that and a lot of work into that. And the fact that nobody knew, I mean, I'm sure some high up executives knew, but his coworkers didn't know. I mean, because he put it all out there, and despite what he was dealing with. And I know we all saw pictures of him back in March or February, where he was looking real skinny and a real, weak, but everybody just assumed he was losing weight for a role. We've seen 50 Cent do it. We've seen Matthew McConaughey do it.
so
We just
Christian
assumed he was doing
Bale
that.
can
Exactly. Christian Bale
Christian
do it.
Bale's a shapeshifter, man. Like
But he
fucking
wasn't. He was suffering from colon cancer, and it's crazy.
chemo and surgeries and
Yeah, yeah. And I was looking this up, man. I mean, according to GI Health, 140,000 Americans are diagnosed every year with colon cancer, and more than 50,000 of those people die from it. So more than a third of people diagnosed every year from colon cancer die from it. And it's worse for African Americans. They die at a higher rate than other races. And I mean, part of it, they from a science background, they don't really know why. It's still kind of a mystery. From a what am I trying to say? Like from a personality thing, it's always kind of high in men because there's a lot of men that they don't want to go up and get colonoscopies when they should. And, they can catch things earlier if you do a colonoscopy when you're supposed to. But, I mean, it's a shitty way to go, man, especially for someone that, I mean, I don't want to sound cynical or anything, but you got to know that Chadwick Boseman had the money to get the best treatment that he could get, and he still couldn't beat it. And it's heartbreaking. And it really shows you that, if you get it bad, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it, it's not going to save you. And unfortunately, it didn't save him.
yeah. I don't really know what else to say.
It's rough, man.
It
It's
sucks.
rough.
It's a tragedy. Obviously,
And I know,
it sounds selfish, but it also it makes you question what the future of Black Panther's character is going to be in the MCU, because they had plans. They had
yeah,
exactly. Red Lightning right here. I don't know what they'll do with Black Panther 2. I don't,
because that was the end of his 5-picture deal. And that was the other thing that people are saying, is that it's kind of sad because he signed a 5-picture deal, and his 5th movie was going to be Black Panther, and then he was going to be up for renegotiation. And every other one of his Avengers coworkers have have renegotiated their contracts for a lot of money. And, he's got a family that he's leaving behind, and people are hoping that Disney takes care of that family.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't
got
want
to
to talk about this the night that he died, like what's going to happen in the MCU, because it seems kind of selfish, but it's a valid question. And I just hope they do it respectfully. The only other franchise that I can think of that had to deal with this in the middle of something was Fast and the Furious. And,
Star Wars.
whether or not you like, true, Star Wars as well, but Fast and Furious had to deal with it first, and they did it well, pretty well. I think most people even cried a tear when they saw that movie, just because of how well they handled it. And I would hope that Disney finds a way to handle it well. I can't see them recasting. I can see it passing the mantle. I can see something like that. I just can't see them post Avengers. They haven't recasted a single person, and I just can't see them recasting him. And I don't think they should. I think they have the property, they have the comics to go off of where the mantle has been passed, and Chadwick's gone on record to say that he's not Black Panther. Black Panther is more than him, but I still think it would be respectful to pass the mantle instead of recast him.
I say that if anything, if they don't want to recast him, they explain why he's not around anymore.
Sure.
Maybe they even open Black Panther 2 with T'Challa's funeral. Maybe something happened and they can't.
Sure.
The fans will understand why they're doing it that way. And then Shuri takes up the mantle.
A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying Shuri. Some people are even saying, you've been talking about bringing back Killmonger, bring him back. I can
absolutely say I don't want them to recast him. I
don't think so.
I don't want to see that chain broken in this stat, because the only Avenger who we've seen recasted so far has been Rhodey. And granted they did
the Hulk.
Well, also the Hulk, but at the same time, we didn't have a
that was pre-Avengers.
That was pre-Avengers, and that was also that's a different scenario. Mm-hmm. That was very early on. That was like before.
Yeah,
man, that was around the Iron Man era.
I don't really care how they do it, as long as they do it tastefully, and I know that they will. I have seen other arguments that I don't believe are of selfish nature, but I've seen people saying, you should go the Shuri route because it's been set up in the comics and it's been set up on screen, and they believe that Chadwick would be pro the empowerment that would be. Then there's other people that say, well, it's been a long time since we've had a powerful Black male on screen, and they should find a way to pass the mantle, but still keep a male Black character in that powerful position. So I could see that too. But I don't think you should recast to keep that thing. I think there's ways to write it and to do it justice, and however they do it. I mean, they have the technology to film a scene if they really wanted to film a scene, or like you said, it's not like people aren't going to know why they decided to go a route if they just have it off camera, which would be respectful as well. But it's not the main thing on my mind. The main thing on my mind is, man, this guy was incredible. And he clearly had a work ethic that was just unmatched and inspiring. And 43 is young, is young in today's world, and it's young in Hollywood to go. And I think it was, and it's partly selfish, but I think it was the biggest shock of it was that we had no idea it was coming. I mean, when I first saw the article, I was like, this is some clickbait shit.
Well, that was actually my first reaction too. The first thing I did is I went over to his social media to see if he was gonna laugh it out, like, hey, no, I'm not dead.
Yeah. Just like,
then the reality
2 days before, they had Kevin Hart's picture on an article about Usain Bolt suffering from COVID. So I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Some lazy news journalist typed something up that is not true, but
also
then it was
scummy.
true.
Like it would have been really especially scummy if it had been false.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
But it was true, and it was
yeah, it ended up
true,
being
and
real.
you had no preparation for it. And, you know, good on him for keeping that between him and his family. And I hope that they got the moments of privacy that few people get when they're in the limelight like that. But it was just shocking and sad, and just was not prepared for that at all. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, my sympathies and condolences go out to his family.
Absolutely.
I
hope Disney takes care of him. I
yeah,
don't under any obligation to, but I think that they will. I think that's just something right that they should do.
absolutely wish them well through this. Having been through this on multiple occasions, I can say that it doesn't get easier. But it yeah, I don't know, you just deal with it. It really sucks. I don't have anything else to say. It absolutely sucks to lose somebody to cancer, especially a family member. And yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, if anything, I mean, I'll completely admit it. I'm about to turn 34 in 2 weeks, and I don't know when you're supposed to get a colonoscopy, but I'm certainly not looking forward to it. Nothing about shoving a camera up my ass sounds fun. However,
especially when you get the diagnosis that he probably did when it happened.
Right. But the fact that, you know, while this is a hard one to treat and it's a hard one to survive, pretty much everyone has said that, you know, the earlier that you catch it, the better. And if that means going to your colonoscopy when you don't want to go, if that means that you could survive, or you could see something early enough that they could fix, that means longer time on this earth and longer time with your family. And I'm certainly not saying that he ignored the signs or anything like that, but I'm saying, you know, that this is just another example of why, you know, I think guys of all races should heed that warning. And
everybody, absolutely everybody, get yourself checked out for cancer. Especially if you can afford it. If you can afford it, or if insurance covers preventative stuff like that, absolutely do it.
Yeah.
At the very least, yearly. Go and get yourself checked out. Because like I've said, cancer is nasty.
Is fear. Know that not knowing is worse, and not catching something when it could have been treatable is worse than your fear. And fear is real, but gosh, I mean, when you see somebody like this that is just too early, 43, that's too young. Look at him. I mean, he looks way too young to have been lost this
I think any age is too young to lose somebody with cancer, but yeah,
it's sad. It's a loss. It's a loss to Hollywood. It's a loss to his family. It's a loss to the world. The guy touched people on so many different levels and had so many ways that he impacted this place. And yeah, it's a loss. It's a very tragic loss.
Well, Nerf herders, I hate to close it out on a
it's been a
negative note.
It's been a shitty weekend and
it's been a really shitty week.
What did Red Lightning say? 2020 is the worst. Yeah.
2020 has been a fucking dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, like I said, I hate to close it out. It's gonna be hard to be upbeat for our outro here. Nerf herders, thank you for watching. I appreciate the comments. We love it when we've got Nerf herders here to be a part of the conversation. Be sure to like this video if you liked it. Hit subscribe so you don't have to worry about missing any future content. We've got more videos coming for you. We've got this show coming to you weekly. So we'll have the N.A.P coming to you just about every Monday that we can stomach it.
Yeah.
I've got some more interesting content ideas that I'm still trying to shake out. So we've got some regular video uploads coming to you. And of course, follow us on social media. We will, if you've got some comments or questions or anything like that, hit us up there. You can find us on all those social media platforms. And until next time, get yourself checked out for cancer. Tell family members to do the same thing. And stay nerdy. Have a good one.
See ya.